good afternoon, everyone. Should be broadcasting on YouTube. My name is Patrick Hawe. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. I love saying that every day. Please pause the video to read this disclosure. I appreciate that. Position disclosure, no new swings as we await for Fed Day on Wednesday. So let's talk about what happened today and what to look for going forward. So market had a pretty solid rally today, although it felt pretty lethargic intraday. If I were, just speaking on how I was kind of feeling today. But basically we came into today with our short-term tactical sentiment in the green after Friday's close. Despite Friday giving a little bit of a rally, it was a decent enough gap down below that 3,900 support, where actually coming into Friday, our short-term tactical sentiment was in the green, but it was a day, not necessarily a day one down, but a day one below support, below 3,900. So it was in the green coming into Friday. Friday wasn't enough to get it out of the green, so it was in the green coming into today. And basically for today, we said we certainly could rally. It's not impossible for us to rally. I'm not necessarily looking for a rally, though, in terms of I'm ready to buy and be ready. And I'm basically on those days where things line up, which usually has extension in the mix, and we were a little bit extended, but we're also breaking down support recently. But those days where we're really extended into a support level, which although we were a bit extended, we weren't extended into that next support of 3,800. When we're really extended on those short-term tactical sentiments in the green, we're extended on the daily chart, we're into a bigger support level. Those are the days where we, and by we, I mean I, like to come in and say, okay, like I'm ready to buy today, and if this goes lower, I'm ready to buy more lower, and I'm leaving room for lower because we are due for a rally either today or any day or so. So I don't want to say we were necessarily due for like a solid up day or a solid rally today, but we certainly said it wasn't impossible this morning. And all we really did was rally back up to the support of 3,900 that we broke down into resistance. Actually, if you look at the SPX cash here, we rallied up to pretty much exactly 3,900, with pretty much a close of exactly 3,900 here. So here's our daily for SPX, right? 3,900, couple small little tails below there. But as you can see here, it looks like, according to TradingView, 38.99 spot 88 close. So pretty much a rally back into that 3,900. I would call that more of an oversold rally than a bottoming rally. So what did we look for as the market opened? What levels were we looking to trade? So for SPY, Qs, and IWM, we pointed out some intraday somewhat levels, somewhat inflection points from Friday. Intraday resistance and support isn't great to go off of always, but in situations like this where, support's like 390, resistance is, support's 380 and below, resistance is 390, you're kind of in the middle here. You gotta make some levels for yourself that still makes sense. So for SPY, we said 384. Look for SPY to get back above 384 for some upside follow through, which was a bit of an inflection point for Friday here. You can see it pretty clearly in the middle of the day, and within the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, SPY took out that 384, and that was really it for the day in terms of downside and upside levels, right? We retook that 384, rallied up to this 386, got up to even 387, rolled back over midday for some midday volatility, poked 384 real quick right back up that 384 here. Just helps show that the level actually is legit once you get these follow through intraday inflection points off that level. A little bounce off 384 there, and then a rally into the close as our VIX came down into the close. UVIXI went sub 10, which we were saying UVIXI hasn't been sub 10 since last Tuesday, so almost a full week of this VIX kind of going sideways / higher here until this UVIXI finally broke down back through 10 at the end of the day today. The dollar came down this afternoon as well for that afternoon rally, so VIX came down, the dollar came down, and I'm guessing TLT didn't really go up in the afternoon, but didn't come down either. This TLT year lows on this TLT 106, definitely still something to pay attention to going forward. But so intraday levels for the indices, we said SPY, look for 384. That got reclaimed in the first 20 minutes or so. We said Qs, I believe our level was 288, maybe 287.50. It was either 287 or 288. Either way, both of those also got reclaimed in the first 20 minutes or so. Same thing, a little bounce, comes back down, retests, holds there, bounces back off there. And IWM, I believe we said 178, 178.50. And this IWM, actually, look at this bar. First bar of the day on the IWM. Really nice bar, really low volume on that bar. Actually, notably low volume on that bar. But we didn't even really get close to retesting that 178. I guess that one, if you're using 178.50 for the IWM, that broke through in the first 15, 20 minutes or so. Retested a couple times, but for the most part held throughout the day. And then this IWM was actually, I would say, the most impressive today. Let me see on a percent base. SPY's up 0.72, Q's 0.62, and IWM 0.81. So not by a lot, but by a percentage, as well as just the price action in general. I would say IWM's the most impressive here, getting back and closing back above this 180 level. Certainly not the same as SPY 390, but in some ways similar to SPY 390. Similar to, I guess this Q's is more like 295. But definitely a decently impressive day from the IWM here. Volume looks okay. I don't care too much about volume make or break there. Whoa. That's a big list on the VTF there, Michael. I'm sure you didn't mean to do that. All good. But anyway, so decent close above IWM 180 there, pretty important level. So yeah, just a decent relief rally, which again, my apologies for not calling for this a bit better. I really tried to say it wasn't impossible, but personally I wasn't really looking for a big green candle from SPY today. I was more just looking for things to at least hold up, and then if we were to flush through 3,800, get down towards 3,800 or so, we should, we were saying we should be able to bounce off that today. But other than that, just a decent relief rally here. Still a little bit of extension on this daily chart. This moving average should come down a bit more after today. But so that's the market today. If you paid attention to those inflection points from Friday, you should have been able to make some cash flow for yourself. Again, SPY 384 and the other indices correlating with that. But that SPY 384 worked pretty well today. Some other names that we looked at today, nothing really too great off the list, I think. Netflix got an upgrade this morning, and Netflix was a bit of a disappointment to most of us. This one pretty quickly here, though. Relative strength versus relative weakness. Relative strength has been very present in Netflix up until today. And I don't want to say that the relative strength isn't there still, but literally just, this is as simple as it is for identifying relative strength and relative weakness. What's Netflix doing in the first 15, 20 minutes? Selling off. What are the Qs doing? Getting bid up. IWM getting bid up. The whole market's getting bid up. Apple, which has been relatively weak, is getting bid up in the first 20 minutes, and Netflix is selling off. So pretty early on, you should have been able to tell that Netflix probably wasn't going to be too great today, even though this did end up closing well. We said this 235 level was kind of key for this Netflix to hold, this 235, 234 to 236, this whole area, which we tested that area, rallied back off that. But overall, not a great day for Netflix there. it's building up into this 250. This 250 from, I guess this is the mid-August, midsummer high or so. Actually, the high for the whole summer. So trying to build up into that 250. Might need another couple days for that 250 breakout to be more legit. But Netflix not great today. The other relative strength name that we've been talking about for like 2 weeks now here is Tesla, and Tesla was pretty solid actually. Tesla was simply just that 300 level. I think pre-market we were hovering around there, looks like. So we were below 300 pre-market, got above 300, chopping 300 pre-market. And then off the open, I actually remember watching Tesla's tape. It was very fast, and you definitely had to be aware and ready for the level. But this was pretty fast. Off the open, Tesla lost 300, traded down to like mid 297s, 298. And I remember saying on the radio, like, ooh, Tesla, back below 300, that's not great. And then I looked at something else for like 5 seconds and then saw my level 2. Tesla was, getting green prints in the 299s. I was like, whoa, Tesla trading right back up here. So if you're ready for it, I think a couple of you guys got this as well. Just Tesla back up through that 300 level on the strength with, as this is breaking over 300 and then we said every $2 or so. So 300, 302. As this Tesla breaking 302, 304, that's when SPY is breaking that 384 level. So Tesla, although the Netflix today was disappointing on that relative strength, the Tesla relative strength still very present there. And this is now working on a 310 breakout, which could trigger tomorrow, actually. You got some more, you got like tails up into the 314 level here. So you've been able to get above 310, but you haven't been able to close above 310. This close was 309.32. So 310 definitely your next level here, and your next actual potential breakout for Tesla that could go as early as tomorrow. Doesn't need to. Probably need S&P to really be clearing out 3,900 for this to go. But nice relative strength. Nice buy back up through 300. If you didn't catch it back up through 300, there were other levels to take that with. And I think a couple of you guys did get that today. So nice relative strength from Tesla. Let's see what else. I don't even think I typed this CRG up today. This did absolutely nothing. This had some news this morning, but did absolutely nothing intraday. I'm glad I didn't. Wow. I guess a little battle between buyers and sellers there in that CRG. Jeez. What else is there? Solars. Some of the solars did okay. Some of them didn't really trigger. The main ETF never triggered. We're watching this 85 in tan, which I know, again, it's traded back and forth through this 85 a decent amount. But you can see just resistance turns into support, back into resistance, back into support, and now back into resistance here. So tan 85 never triggered. Still should be on your radar for the future. This is definitely not a bad looking chart. I know we're below these moving averages here. But this tan would only start to look bad if it really got below either 82 or 80. So tan inside day to pay attention to. Still something to have on your radar, even for tomorrow, that 85 on that inside day for tan. But so like run, we were looking at 38. This run is also setting up still. This 38 is still setting up. Still one to have on your radar. You got two tails in 38 here. So the more this, again, builds out into a level, doesn't break the level, but doesn't break down on either, the better that breakout should be. So run never triggered that 38, but something you should still have on your radar. End phase, I think we said 315. Not too much follow through there, though. Kind of a rollover there for end phase. So maybe got paid a little, maybe got stopped out there. First Solar had a headline this morning. We said 136 for First Solar, which similar to the others, maybe worked in the first 10 minutes and then probably stopped you out and probably shouldn't have gotten really back involved in this First Solar here. So not great there. Tesla definitely looking like the best trade of the day again. I don't mean to keep going to Tesla every day, but it keeps setting up for us. So why not, right? Some of the home builders got some upgrades. The only one I really had was this DHI 72. The others were just not as clean charts, but this DHI 72 was a level that I found and liked this morning. I think at least one or two of you guys caught this. I think maybe Greg caught this. Don't know if you're keeping any of this, Greg. I don't know if I would keep any. Not really a great candle there. But all the same, DHI, we talked about that 72. That paid a little. Nothing great, but paid a little bit there. And I think that's mostly what we were watching this morning. Yeah, so nothing too great. I mean, there were some intraday plays that we did too. I remember these semis were pretty strong. So two areas that were decently strong today that have been weaker. One, semis, specifically NVIDIA and AMD, and then two, Apple. Apple has been relatively weak for, I want to say like the past almost month, besides this one day, which was the post-Apple event day. And they were saying, I guess, like the 14s were actually in pretty high demand still. But besides that one day, Apple's been relatively weak for the most part. But that was another level that we were watching this morning. Just Apple 150. I don't know if anyone actually took Apple back up over 150, but tails a little off 150, gets back above 150. That first 15-20 minutes of the day or so, as the Qs are taking out their important level, as SPY is taking out 384. Apple gets above 150 here and does exactly what it should do. When a level breaks, it doesn't look back, right? Tails above 150, but this bar low doesn't break. Then it actually gets above 150 here and doesn't look back. That's exactly what that's exactly what should happen when your major levels break, right? Which is what we did that whole meeting about momentum last week. I forget what day that was, but we did that whole big meeting about momentum and why identifying your key daily levels, how to play them when you're looking for momentum back over them. That's what you want to see there. Above 150, doesn't trade back and forth through 150 all day, gets above and stays above. So Apple 150, pretty good strength there. Maybe a couple of you guys caught some of that today. And then the other one were the semis, so like NVIDIA through either 130 was a bit of a level, or it flagged 133 here. And I think a couple of you guys, including myself, took this through 133, which ended up stopping back out and kind of failing. Similar with this AMD, these highs were, what was it, like 76.50 or so, 76.50, 76.60. Similar to AMD, gives a nice rip, back down, another nice rip, back down. So just little cash flow trades, which that's all they really should be. I don't think you should be buying these names today specifically, looking for big swings from today specifically, in my opinion. So that was today. Not too bad, not too great either. Going forward, what are we looking for? So we got the Fed on Wednesday, as most of you should know. If you don't know, now you know. We got the Fed Wednesday, rate decision at 2 p.m. Eastern, press conference at 2:30 Eastern. Are they going to raise by 75? Probably. Are they going to raise by 100? Maybe. But 75 is pretty much all locked in at this point. And 100 is a possibility. It's definitely not impossible. It's not set in stone that it needs to be 75. And we've been talking about this meeting as being interesting again because I forget his name, but the guy over at the Wall Street Journal, they call him like the Fed Whisperer, that seems to be pretty good at calling the Fed moves early, whether he, however he's doing that, I don't know. But the Fed Whisperer, quote unquote, was calling for 75, and that was before this CPI, that was actually this day. This was the Powell-Jackson Hole day on Friday. But so the Fed Whisperer was calling 75 before that CPI miss, which was a bit of a disaster. I mean, core numbers up, monthly core numbers up, month over month. Pretty bad CPI report. So it'll be interesting because 75 is pretty much locked in, but I don't think you should think 100 is impossible. Whether it's 75 or 100, I don't know. I don't really care either. What I care about is how the market's going to react and how we are set up, as well as how sentiment is set up going into it. And going into it after today's bounce, unless we have like an absolute disastrous day tomorrow that totally negates this candle today, going into it, I don't think you can have much of an edge either way. We were talking about this earlier, but I mean, everyone knows they're going to hike. Everyone knows it's probably going to be 75. Everyone knows the last CPI report was bad. So it's tricky. It's tricky. It's been easier when we have big moves into events to just kind of take the other side, because sentiment gets, either too overcooked to the upside, too overcooked to the downside. It's usually easier when you have like a big move into an event. But again, if we say we had a neutral, inside-ish, choppy-ish, flat day today, and then like another down day tomorrow, and after Tuesday, after tomorrow, we were even further extended to the downside into 3,800 support going into the Fed, I would feel much more confident about seeing an up move pretty much no matter what happens, right? But now after today, some could argue this is a short-term bottoming candle here, but that just gets us back up again into 3,900. We're not even really quite over 3,900 yet. But even if we do get over 3,900, what we really need to take out is this 4,402 for SPY. You can see on last week's candle. Last week's candle was a bearish engulfing candle, bit of a disaster. Actually, it's a bearish, bullish engulfing that negated the bearish, and then a bearish engulfing that negated the bullish. So very difficult for last week to be negated. This doesn't even include how much we were up at, like 414, 415 that pre-market that day, which was CPI Tuesday. So although bulls look a little bit better on the daily chart, they got a lot of work to do on the weekly chart still, a lot of work to do. And even if we are able to reclaim 3,900, that definitely doesn't, clear everything out per se, right? We still got a lot of resistance ahead of us. We still got the Fed to deal with. So I don't know. We'll see, right? I mean, we'll see how we trade tomorrow, and we'll see how they gap us Wednesday. But unless we sell off big tomorrow, or even if I think we need to sell off big tomorrow for me to have somewhat of an edge going into the Fed. But otherwise, I mean, even if you weren't going into the Fed, like say you have another update tomorrow and you're just in this kind of middle equilibrium area, I mean, you can't have much of an edge there either way. In fact, the only edge you would have would probably be a bearish edge, because you're price correcting into equilibrium, which is sloped down. We're in a downtrend. Moving averages are pointed down. They're sloped down. We're in a downtrend. So you would expect this to continue to the downside. But the Fed can obviously totally negate technicals, right? Technicals only matter so much, but fundamentals rule all. And the Fed is certainly a fundamental event on the market. So I think I titled the video, we rally back to 3,900. Bears get a little bit tired, which that's kind of what it felt like today. It didn't really feel like a very impressive day for the bulls. It kind of just felt like bears stepped aside a bit, and we got a bit of a relief rally. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how we trade tomorrow, but short of any really bad day tomorrow, I think it's going to be really tricky going into the Fed. Again, everyone knows CPI is bad. Everyone knows that we're going to hike by 75. It's going to come down to really what Powell says, and then really even just how the market reacts. Like, I really don't even care what they hike by or what Powell has to say. I really only care about what the price action looks like. They could hike by 75, and Powell could say the world's going to end, But if the market is trading up and, getting bid up, then you got to go with that. And same thing on the flip side. They could only hike by 75. Powell could say, we're looking a bit better, but we need the data to keep working, and you're feeling a bit good. But, if they sell us back off below key levels, right? Above key levels are good. Below key levels are not good. And that's all I really care about. And that's all you should really care about, too. Not to say that, obviously, you shouldn't care about the Fed. You shouldn't care about what Powell says. But don't get too caught up in the details. It's the price action rules all, right? And price action it's just the flow of money. So if people want to pull money out and raise cash after the Fed, we're going to trade down. We'll be able to short down through levels for that. And if people need to panic buy back in for whatever reason, we'll be able to identify levels for that. But today was a big enough range, a big enough day where I don't really want to give levels to be ready to buy through or short through for the Fed. Because, it's not impossible for us to go back to 385 tomorrow. It's not impossible for us to go to 395 tomorrow. So we still have another session before the Fed. So after tomorrow, for tomorrow's afternoon meeting, I'll give you guys some levels to watch for either buying through or shorting down through for the Fed. But we still got one more session to go, which obviously the day before the Fed probably shouldn't be any big session either way. And that's all I really got to talk about. Not too much to talk about from today. Pretty lethargic. Even though it was a good bounce, a decent candle, fairly lethargic day from, in my opinion anyway. It's kind of just what it felt like. Pretty poor, like nice green candle, but tape wasn't really exciting at all. And so that's all I really got to talk about. So if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, definitely feel free to share them now. Let me just pull up YouTube as well so I can see if there's any YouTube questions. Bill, give me that guy's name, Nick Timmy Ross. Nick Timmy Ross. I don't know. The Fed Whisperer. Who knows how he gets his info? Oh, that's a list of cash names. Interesting. Yeah, I see up on there. I'll have to go through that. I'm surprised to see XL on that list, actually. Interesting. I'll go through that later. A lot of cheap EV XL, Solo, a lot of that garbage there. Interesting. But thanks for sharing that, Mike. Definitely we'll take a look at that after the close. Greg got flat, DHI. Not a bad move. Hopefully you made some money in that. I assume you made a little bit for yourself. A little cash flow a day keeps the fee doctors away. My thought is, what could he say that we already don't know? Yeah, exactly, Josh. If anything, I don't know. It might just be. It might not even be what he's. It might even just come down to not even what he says as much as how he's saying it and how he's reacting. Meaning, is he gonna, be strong and mighty and ready to tackle inflation? Or is he going to be nervous and be like, I don't really know what's going on. I'm nervous. Inflation's not coming down. We're behind the ball. Which obviously he won't say that. But if he seems like he's kind of reaching, that could get the market a bit nervous. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's going to be interesting for sure. I see a couple YouTube questions. Please tell me on DeMark if I see a 6 to 9 count with a green candle, a smart trader should be ready to short, and Oppo with red candles, meaning 6 to 9, get ready for possible trend. So, Justin, that's a good question on DeMark. You got to treat it, and I know you're not part of the VTF, so you might not know too much about extension, but you got to treat it like extension, which it's not extension, it's exhaustion. But the same way extension corrects, which if you don't know, listen up and listen well. Extension corrects through either price or time or both. Um, Time being sideways. So ideally, when you have a niner, when you're looking to go the opposite direction, ideally you have that in extension as well. Because just because you have a niner doesn't mean the trend needs to change. The same way you could get a bit extended and then go sideways for 3 to 5 or whatever days. Like right here, you got extended after 3 strong days, went sideways for about a week, and then had another leg up. The same thing can happen on niners. So, and I mean, I'm sure you know this already, but no technical indicator is a black and white must buy, must sell. If it was, it would have been discovered and ruined already, right? So just because you have a niner, doesn't necessarily mean you should be looking for the opposite direction. You got to take your other layers of probability into consideration when you're taking a trade. And those layers of probability being extension, where are you on the 5 minute? Where are you on the 15? Where are you on the daily? What's the niner that you're looking at? Is it a daily niner? That's different than a 5 minute niner. But yeah, you should at least be looking for a pause. And again, that pause could equate to time. So let's say, I don't know, let's say like this day, this candle on SPY was the niner. You're looking for a pause. Even just this 2 days here is enough. That doesn't mean that just because like SPY's extended and this, might have been a niner, that doesn't mean SPY needs to then come back down here. It just paused for a couple days. You can still go on the opposite side of the direction and make a little bit of money for yourself going short around here, as long as you're not being too greedy. That type of trade you're taking is just like a cute little cash flow type trade. You know what I mean? Just like don't be too greedy and look for full on reversals, just little pauses here and there. So for the most part, the answer to your question is yes. Just don't be always looking for like full reversals or anything like that. But yes, basically you want to be looking for a bit of a pause, a bit of an opposite direction, for sure. But even just like one or two sideways candles can break that count up and start a new count. So, don't be shorting. If you got an upside niner and you go sideways for however many candles and that count breaks up and the count restarts, don't fight that too much if that starts to head higher. But for the most part, yes, you're getting the hang of it there. I really only look at like niners. I don't really care about anything else in that count. But definitely the niners for sure. Yep, I see your follow-up comments there, and I agree with what you're saying, definitely. Sebastian on YouTube, hey Pat, Netflix was showing a lot of strength and had an upgrade. In the open, I decided to buy around 241 when it was closing the gap. Also was the highs for 2 days, and the trade clearly failed. Yep, and Netflix was weak almost all day. Do you see the reason for this weakness? I would like to hear your opinion on the trade. I didn't see any reason for that weakness. I did see Roku try to be strong and totally fail this morning, so I don't know if they were just like selling that, that crowd was selling streaming this morning or something like that. I definitely like your idea for the trade. So you said 241 you tried to buy around at. I think the levels are more... Yeah, 241 a bit of a level. I think 240 is important too. They were roughly, Netflix and Tesla both have levels roughly every $2. So like 244, 242, 240, 238, 236. So I don't think there was any news or anything there that like came out after the open or anything. I don't think it was a bad idea, Sebastian. It was just one of those few which, knowing that, you definitely come a long way. You definitely seem to start to be seeming like you know what you're doing. Sometimes you just get those trades that everything sets up well and the trade just doesn't work and it fails. And it's kind of what I think happened to you with Netflix. I don't really think there was a specific reason for the weakness. I guess it was up on like a day 4 up, so maybe just by the pure fact of not pushing it up. But it even closed well still. I don't think this Netflix should be on your radar at all. This pivot high, 239.50 or so, this 240 is a decent enough level where we're now breaking and closing above. Today is going to be the second day that we close above 240. So it might just be taking a little bit of a pause after a decently strong week last week, right? It looks like you got this weekly moving average here as well. It's interesting to see. But no, I mean, I think it was a good idea, and your trade just kind of failed. I do think you could have looked at it again at this 238 area, and then bigger picture. I mean, this 240 needs to build out a little bit better. Looks like your daily ADMA is going to be up to today's low going forward. And we were saying intraday today as well, 235 is fairly important. 234, 236 or so. So I would say going forward, Netflix is still setting up for a 250 breakout, which is this pivot from over here in March to roughly 250 or so. I think we got above 250, but yeah, never closed above 250. So a couple little tails above 250, couldn't close above 250. It's setting up for that 250 breakout, and it's setting up for, or it's working on building out 240 as support. I think if you're an active bull, you really wouldn't want to see today's low lost in Netflix going forward. If today's low is lost in Netflix, this certainly has room lower back down towards like 230 or so. So yeah, I mean, not a bad idea, Sebastian. Not a bad trade, or I guess not a good trade because it didn't really work, but I definitely don't think that was a bad idea. I don't think there was a reason it failed. It was just a, kind of like a choppier, more lethargic day. So yeah, I mean, sorry I don't really have like a better answer for you there per se, but I don't think it was anything specific. I don't think you had a bad idea. And going forward, I do think Netflix can still be on our radar. And I think today's low is fairly important, especially this moving average daily ADMA should be up over, or at least to today's low going forward. So today's low, that 236 level, important support for Netflix that really shouldn't get lost here going forward. So those are my thoughts on your Netflix trade, which, again, definitely not a bad idea. Just sometimes perfect trades don't work, which, I mean, that wasn't really a perfect trade, but sometimes trades set up and they don't work, and it is what it is. But I guess the other thing you could have done, Sebastian, just now that I'm speaking and thinking in hindsight, is just seeing this first, even, it's pretty obvious in like the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, but just seeing this first red bar in Netflix, and I know it had a bit of a tail, but this first bar to 2 bars, 2 red bars, when you got a really solid green Q bar, you got a green apple bar, I believe you had a green, really solid green SPY bar. So just in, now that I'm just like speaking in hindsight, and that's because we talked about this already for Netflix, you could have seen the market being bid up, seeing Tesla taking 300, seeing Qs get bid up, and seeing Netflix, not that Netflix has to go to the moon when the market's doing that, but why is a relatively strong name selling when the market is getting bought? So that just, you could have, again, hindsight's 2020, but I don't think that would have been impossible to identify either. Just seeing that selling come in with the market getting bought up, probably not the best sign there. Forward cutting guidance. Forward down decently after hours on that. Any other questions or anything? I guess it is 5 o'clock already. Not too many questions today though. But that's okay. Guild 115. I was afraid to try it. Any comments? Guild at 115. I guess I would say, first I would ask why you're looking at this Gilead. The 65, definitely a bit of a level here. Working on 66 as well. Let's see. I'm curious to see relative strength to SPY changed. I don't really know why you'd be looking at this Gilead today. They call this Gilead the Widowmaker, this stock. This name is very hard to trade in like a big picture and a small picture, I think. I mean, if you're aware of that 65 level, which hopefully you were aware of this 65 level, and you see 65 gets lost, comes up to 65, bumps its head, can't really go, finally does break over 65, comes back up, you're buying this pivot. How's this look on a 15-minute chart? On a 15-minute chart, this is looking pretty solid actually. Gets above all these tails here. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you should have not been afraid to try it. Not that it's like random, because 65 is a daily level, but I mean, it's kind of just in the middle of the day. Gilead didn't really have any news this morning, so kind of like a random name. I don't know. That's a play where, I think in hindsight, you could have told yourself that you could have been buying around here, but in reality, again, just it's the middle of the day, a name that's not really in play. My thoughts are not that you should have been afraid to try it, but that's probably your good trader instinct not being too ready to jump the gun on kind of a random play in the middle of the day. And this Gilead is not easy. This Gilead is not an easy name to trade. I don't know if like you look at this every day or something, but this Gilead's not easy to trade. So my thoughts are, I don't fault you for being afraid to try that. And if this market didn't rally at the end of the day, there's probably no way this move was going to come in at the end of the day either. So personally, I probably would have been scared to try that myself, and I probably wouldn't have tried it myself. So I like your thought process there. I mean, again, if the market didn't rally at the end of the day, the VIX didn't come down, if the dollar didn't come down, this move probably wouldn't have happened. And if you take this part off your screen and you only show me this, I see a stock that sold off in the morning with a market that got bought up, and then now this name is near day highs but not at day highs, so it's at the top of the range in the middle of the day. I probably would have been scared to try that too. So hope that kind of helps and makes sense a little bit. But I don't hate your thought process on being scared to try that, and I probably, if the market didn't have its up move this afternoon, this probably only works maybe 5 out of 10 times, maybe 6 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10. And those are not statistics I really want to go to for taking trades. So I guess, yeah, those are my comments. Don't hate that you were afraid to try it, and that's probably good that you were. And I know it worked this time, but would it work the other 9 out of 10 times? I don't think it would work the same. And I doubt it would have worked if that market didn't have that up move at the end of the day. So yeah, that's Gilead. Any other questions or anything? Double check YouTube. YouTube looks good too. All right, well, 5 o'clock, so it's fine if anyone's done with questions. So yeah, tomorrow Tuesday, day before the Fed. Usually shouldn't be a huge day either way. Probably going to be a tricky open. If we gap up enough, might be a cute short. If we gap down, probably look for a common gap fill. And then other than that, I mean, probably going to be a trickier, another less is more day tomorrow. And then then after tomorrow's range comes in, then we'll have our more defined levels for, if we're reacting like this to the Fed, buy through this level. If we're getting shot down by the Fed, short through this level. Again, I don't really want to find those levels yet because we still have a whole nother session to get through before the Fed day on Wednesday. So we'll see how they gap us tomorrow. But decent day by the bulls, bit of a relief bounce, but we are in a downtrend. These moving averages are sloped down. We're below the moving averages. So you wouldn't really expect anything big. But again, the Fed fundamentals are always more important than technicals. So we'll see what happens on the Fed Wednesday. We'll see how they gap us tomorrow, and we'll assess in the morning. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.